and you're doing that because of something that you've been told is true, and it isn't. I mean, killing the child that's on the way. I don't see them arguing with that. You have to do it right. You have to. If you don't want abortions, make sure that the girl doesn't get pregnant, the female doesn't get pregnant. No problem. No problem. There's no abortion. You can take abortion right out of the picture. The only problem is that if a female gets pregnant and the man or the woman doesn't want it, then you've got abortion. So, you understand what the rules are. Get in there and get what you believe taken care of. It's as simple as that. That's what we've had to do. That's what we've had to do. We've had to do with the religious, ridiculous, the earth is flat. No, I believe the earth is round. You're dead. What? Well, you can't argue with the Catholic Church because we are, we rub shoulders with God, and God said the earth is flat. Well, there's an awful lot of people that were killed then. What's the deal? Well, the deal is the earth isn't flat. You want to go on? The sun and all the planets revolve around the earth. If you say otherwise, we're gonna burn you at the stake. Not true. It wasn't true. We're gonna tell you every single book in the Bible, and we're gonna throw away the ones we don't want. Boy, let me tell you, we're starting to get some of the ones they didn't want, and then what's the first thing that you see? You see men hating women. And in the Bible, in the book of Mary, the disciples were complaining because Mary was loved by Jesus more. That's what they were saying. You loved Mary more than you loved us, and you told her all kinds of things that we didn't know about, and now Mary's got to tell us these things that you didn't tell her. Well, actually, they were talking to Mary. Mary, you got to tell us what Jesus told you. That's not fair. We should have been the ones that got the information first. Why didn't you? Because Jesus wasn't a woman hater. Jesus actually, something wrong with Jesus. He actually thought that women were equal to men. I mean, he really did. And so, we can go there all day too. Okay, what did they say? What they said is that as much as we hate advertisement, on and on about advertisement, having the woman, the female, not get pregnant is one place where advertising could be used, and that's what they said. And so they were recommending that the Right to Life people say, hey, at that point, advertise. Get these females to understand that it's just not okay anymore. It isn't okay for them to start with. It's a horrible idea in some situations, and as a society, what they said was, as a society back in the West, when the people were coming into the town with their guns and they'd get to the saloon and drink a little bit, and next thing you know, somebody was dead, somebody was shot. They said, we can't have this anymore, so we got to stop this. And they said, well, what do you think you're going to do? It's not as though you can take the guns away from anybody. And they said, yes, we can. If you want to come into Dodge, you drop your guns off at the sheriff's office, and then you can come into Dodge. You cannot carry a gun around in Dodge anymore. We're done with that. That's the end of it. Well, okay. You're going to say a lot of things, but they did it, and it worked. They did it, and there was less people killed. So, don't say that we can't this and we can't that. We can. Society decides that such and such a thing should happen. It happens. I mean, there are instances where that's exactly what happened. There's child labor came to an end, and women not having the vote came to an end, and carrying guns into Dodge City came to an end. And the only reason that happened was there was a plan, and everybody stuck to it. And they say over and over again, what's your power? You have to have a plan. You know, you have to. Why do you have to have a plan? Well, you have to have a plan because you'll have chaos if you have a plan. Take the system that you've got and drop it, and without a plan, you have chaos. Nobody wants chaos. You know, they don't want chaos. That's kind of the beginning of the Civil War, you know, and that's insane. It's the blacks and the Mexicans and the Arabs and everybody else against the whites. It's insane because you could have been one of those the last lifetime. And when they look at it, they're saying, what are you guys doing? You got a white guy over here beating on a black guy because he's black, and the white guy was black last lifetime. You know, you understand what we're saying? That it's insane. You know, you do the history of the people, the understanding of who was born, and which is a little kind of hard to do because of the mother knows, but the father doesn't. You know, and so you have these people, and you're doing the lifeline down through, and you go back far enough, and you find out that you were a member of the family of the King of England, or you know, somebody, and you're all impressed. Well, last lifetime you were somebody else. You might not have been white. You might have been anything. So, you know, the Civil War that we're working toward is insane, and we need to stop it. So they go on then and they say, so how are we going to get these concepts or intentions into the system that promotes the family and the value of our children in a proper manner? All of the things that we were talking about before in terms of the child, you know, the key was always we want the child to be healthy in mind and spirit and body. And then we want the child to have an opportunity to reach his full potential. And those were the two things we were shooting for. And no more atrocities, no more horrible things that happen. So they say, okay, first we would define the family unit so there's no doubt in anybody's mind. The family unit is any combination of people who can raise children into adults who are healthy in body, mind, and in a more cosmic sense. Many units are perceived to be families today, but they don't meet that criteria. As always, we go back to the concept of who can do the job, not who has the papers or all the trappings. Who can raise the children? Let that be the test, and let them prove it. When proven, let neither the social system nor government policy be prejudicial to it. What are they saying? Who can do it, no matter what sex they are, what age they are, what race they are, or anything else? Who can raise children? You see, get the prejudicial choices out. Well, only a mother can raise them, and she's got to be blah, blah, blah. No, that's not true, and we know it's not true. Who can raise children? Who can raise children the proper way? Well, it could be a lot of people. So they say don't let these prejudicial things get in the way, but prove it. They say, you know, one of the things that they're going to say is that the education is going to get involved with raising children. And in the education chapter, that's what they talk about, is one of the things that will be taught in school. How do you raise a child? How do you raise a child properly? How do you raise a child with some hope? You know, so that's where it comes in, and that's what's going to happen. So they say the payments that are given, that come from the government that are related to women or men who are raising children, are given with no hassle, no strings, and almost no administration. They can be done by mail, a computer, a telephone. The key is that there are investigators out there in the field investigating, and that's the key over and over again. Forget the paperwork. Forget how you get, makes the system easy. You call up or you get on the computer and you say, I'm raising a child and I need money, and they say, okay. where you live, and here's the check, and bang, there's an investigator there to find out, if you're frauding the government, man, you don't want to get in the legal system. So we say if a person is caught in fraudulent activity in this area, he or she will have broken the law and will go to a reform group as any other person who frauds. Also, an adult who chooses not to work will not be, no, they just throw us in. That's what they do all the time. I always say, stop. I want to look at this closer. But okay, they say, also, an adult who chooses not to work will not be allowed to just live with someone who is on support. There will be no food taken from a child's mouth, so to speak. That, too, will be investigated in the field. What did they say? They said, if you have, for instance, a woman who is raising 2 or 3 children and the government is paying the bill, there's no man going to come in there or no other person going to come in there who's not working in the public arena, not the government support, but they have to be publicly working in the public arena where they're benefiting us. They're not a cost to us, they're benefiting us. Then those people, that person cannot come into that home and live off of literally taking the money out of the child's mouth. They're taking the food out of the child's mouth so they don't have to work. An adult who chooses not to work. We get to the choosing not to work. We get to the government support. The government giving you a job so that you have to work anyway, but you're not employable. They get to the point where they explain that, so we'll get there. So then they go on and say, okay, who has children? Who has children? As always, we would not shrink from our duty to tackle the hard subjects. We want each person to fall into the productive or service class, if at all possible. And this is, again, from an economic point of view. We're in economics here. This is a chapter on economics. Raising a child or children to adults who are healthy in body, mind, in the more cosmic sense, and are going to have the ability to reach their full potential, qualifies as a productive class activity. These children will add to the country's wealth in all manner of ways. More importantly, they will add to the ranks of those who will help us to understand why we're here and how to get out. And they say they want that. No, that's a prejudice. That's a choice back to Father rather than being in dominion. You understand that? And they admit it. They're going to say that's a prejudicial thing, but that's what they want. Now, if the ones who want dominion and don't want to have anything to do with Father again, and they're going to become their own God, they're not going to want that, well, they'll fight and struggle. That's why we mentioned that will Book 4 and all the changes solve all the problems? Absolutely not. How can they? There's a whole group of people that want something other else, but it'll make it easier for everybody. It'll make it easier. Make it easier on everybody when you get down and look at it. It's going to be a little harder to be a god, but man, if you understood how the system works, you'll understand that eventually the gates are closed, and those who demand to be here and become gods, it's closed off, and no more souls enter here, and they're on their own, and off they go. They can have it any way they want. I never know where these things are going to come up. What they said at one time, which was almost humorous, was they said that the angels rebelled and said, we're almost as good as you are, God, and yet you've got these human beings, these souls, and actually it was souls, not human beings. You have these souls, and you love these souls, and you've given them free will, and you haven't given us free will, and you're treating them so good, and you don't treat us that good. And And what's the deal? We want. And, God could have said, crush them. I'm God, I can destroy them. Bam, they're gone. Back into oblivion. But he didn't do that. Well, of course not. Father's a loving being, and so he couldn't do that. So what did he do? He said, all of you? Yes, Father, what? Do you really believe you're that good at, what it is that you do? Yes, sir. Father, we're really fantastic. We're almost gods. And Father said, okay, I'm going to give you a place, and I'm not going to be there. I will not go there. It's all yours. Have at it. Show me how good you are. I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to destroy you. I just want you to show me how wonderful a God you are. And he did. He did that. And here we are. And those who are given this information ask us in bluntness, how are we doing? And, the first time I heard that, I go, what? What are you talking about? Well, you always say that God wouldn't do this and God wouldn't do that. It doesn't make any sense. What's the matter with God? He's letting the children be beaten. People are starving, and on and on and on. It goes all the list of things that are wrong, and they say, who are you blaming? Why are you blaming Father? He's not here. He's in his creation. You're someplace else. You're out here where the angels that rebelled demanded you to be. And you're out here to see if you can become a god or hold your own, and basically they're saying, how well are you doing? How are you doing? Boy, that hurt. And I'm all for it now. I mean, you get these people that say that God isn't dead, God's dead, and God is... No, he's not here. He's not here. He sent you here to show how wonderful you can do as a bunch of souls that have angels on your side, and angels that are God-oriented. And how are you doing? Terrible, as far as I can tell. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going back to Father's creation. I'm going to have anything to do with this garbage here. And I tell people that, and they what? Haven't you ever seen a sunset? Oh, please, what I have seen compared to your garbage sunsets and your mountains and your vistas and your shadow world. I mean, if you knew, you wouldn't even, if you knew what I have seen, you wouldn't even talk to me. And that's a fact. So we get off track, but this must be one of those places where you get off track, because we did. So they say that we want to have children that are healthy in body, soul, mind, and a chance to reach their full potential. And then they say, let's take a look at 3 requirements then of a person who's thinking about having a child or raising a child. First, we have to have a healthy body, because we're going to meet our responsibility to our citizens. There will be health care for all, and it will be prevention-oriented. And that means that if somebody's raising a child and it isn't healthy because they haven't taken it to a doctor or done the things that are oriented toward prevention, then they don't know how to raise a child. And at that point in time, that may be the last one. Everyone who has a child will have the opportunity to make sure it's healthy. Those who won't do that are not qualified. It's pretty straightforward. Those who don't learn to use or choose not to take advantage of the healthcare system will fail the first requirement. Okay, that was the first requirement, healthy. And you got to make sure that it's done. Second requirement, healthy in mind. Now, that's a more nebulous requirement, they say. As we get rid of the intelligence game players, the problem related to mental health will diminish. In this country, we have a very broad tolerance for abnormal and will generally allow all but harmful activity from those people that are mentally not, right there. And they say we get an A+ for that tolerance. We do know the difference between somewhat off and harmfully off. Focusing on early detection and help for those with mental problems and removal of the games will bring the problem to a tolerable level. As we begin to realize the true cause of mental problems, we will then turn to the family and question each unit's ability to raise a mentally healthy child. When you find out what causes a not mentally healthy child, and that's child abuse, mostly in children, when you realize that that's happening, then that's going to be put to an end, and those people who are doing it won't go on and on, generation after generation after generation. It stops. They put a stop to it and say, you can't have children. You're abusive, and you don't have control of your, and things change with the discipline of a child and so on and so forth. Read all of book 4, you'll see. They say you've got to be able to give your child a better life in this category and prove it before you can pull a child out of its. They're talking about you right-to-lifers, or you people that are going to take care of a child's mental health. You have to be able to prove that you can do better. And they say that all the time before you can pull them out of the home. But they kind of indicate that the problem will go away as the changes that are asked for in book 4 are met. Then the mental problems will go away. The children problems, especially, because we haven't been fair with our children at all, and don't even know why. And they come and say why, and they show you, and they tell you what to do, and as far as I can tell, it would work. So the second requirement is mentally healthy. Third requirement is a healthy understanding of the more cosmic or spiritual concepts of life. The school will do a lot to broaden children's knowledge in that area, but the parent must do his or her part too. When asked about a given religion, a parent must be able to give an educated opinion. But what does that mean? It means that what they said was, if it means one less ball game or one less television show while you study, we would see little loss. So basically what they're saying is, yes, you teach your child your religion. You teach your child whatever. That's what a parent's supposed to do. But you have to be able to talk about the other religions instead of, having blinders on in that area. You have to be educated in that area, and you have to be able to talk to the child, answer the child's questions. Well, what about this? Or what about that? Well, you have to have some education yourself so you can answer those questions. Now, if you're a Seventh-day Adventist and you believe in that 100%, that's no problem. That doesn't matter. But when the person asks about a Catholic church, you can't be dumb. You got to be able to answer the question. How about the Protestant Episcopalians? They're going to meet a lot of them. What about them? Well, you get to say, okay, this is the history behind it, and this is what they believe, and this is why I don't believe that. And that's so you get to teach your child your religion, and those who gave this information don't have no problem. You perfectly have a right. It's your child, but you have to be educated yourself. You can't be totally ignorant about other religions and just say this is the only one, period, and don't even talk about the other one. Talk about the other one and tell them why you picked this one and why you believe this one. That's what parents are supposed to do. So we have those 3 requirements that a family has to meet. And in that case, they become they're in the productive class. They're not a burden. They're in productive class. And the children of those families that are treated that way will also be likely to fall into the productive or service class as they get older and go to work. And they also have the potential of inventing something that just, that's why, from an economic point of view, children are so important. They might invent something unbelievable And that puts an end to all these other struggles. And all of a sudden they have changed the whole vista of economics. So they say, okay, now comes the hard part. What do we do with those who are obviously not going to be a family, which falls into the foregoing parameters? It's seemingly simple and harmless question, but it hides all manner of questions that you've been advertised to and spun around and around, lied to and taught and manipulated, and it gets so bad that you don't have a clue what to believe or what to do. So they say it's left to us who's given this then to cut through all the lies and confusion and leave a clear path to the desired destination. Okay, they say there are two desired destinations here, as with all things on this earth at the present time. The first destination is ours, supported by all those who would promote the understanding of a choice back to Father. First destination is getting the child to go back to Father. We would have, families that would raise their children in a productive manner, explained about love, and then learn the truth of their existence they're hoping for. And if that wasn't possible, we would have as a second choice the way they're raised, that they're raised by someone who shows hope that someday they too might be able to meet those parameters. What did they say? They said, not mostly in religion they're talking about that, you will make sure your child's healthy, or you're going to lose your child and you might not have any more. You will make sure your child is mentally healthy, or you might lose that child and you might not have any more. Might be sterilized, you understand. You will educate yourself on religion so that you can answer questions that a child has, being totally prejudicial to your religion or what it is you believe. That's okay. But you got to be able to answer a question. Why did you pick this instead of that? Okay, this is why. All right, now see that's what they need. Then you have these three things that they want you to have. Then we go over and look at it and say, we would, as a last choice, restrict the choice of having children for those who had no hope by fate or choice, and that's in brackets, of reaching those parameters. That would reduce the burden group and reduce the possibility of adding misery to the children or anybody in this life. What did we say, they asked? We said we will not allow a person or a family who can't meet the three requirements above to have children. If you want to have children, you have to show that you're going to raise them to be healthy in mind and body. To allow choices in life view, we ask only that you might someday see the truth of existence and not that you do now. That they're not going to say, if you don't know why you're here and you don't know blah, 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 and you're stuck in a stupid little side religion because you haven't educated yourself, you're still going to have children. It's okay, because there's a chance, at least if there's a chance, that you're going to, go to class and learn. So they're not going to take away your children, and they're not going to stop you from having children if you're religiously somewhat, and the word is ignorant, and ignorant doesn't mean stupid or, it means you don't know. That's all it means. I'm a mechanic. I open the hood on a car and I know exactly what's going on in there, and there are so many people that are ignorant now. I didn't diss them. I'm just saying you don't know in that area. Give me an area that I don't know and I'll jump right in there and say, I'm ignorant. Teach me. I'm ignorant as heck. I just don't know. That's what ignorant means. So in religion, you're religiously ignorant. Well, then you better learn. You better have hope. But, if you got somebody that there's no hope, you're on the bottom of the pool and you understand what we're saying, and there's no hope, then you're not going to be allowed to have children. That's what they're saying. And you have this other choice. You can kill them. I mean, people. You can give people create created virus so that everybody dies, the good and the bad, the person that could have been an Einstein and the person that would have done your dishes. Okay. That they say now you have a lot of room there for the opponents to do their work, and their opponent, and who are their opponents? That's the second desired destination. First desired destination was to get back to Father. Second desired destination is quite the opposite. It's held by all who would support and feed the fallen one. They would have as many children as possible and have them in any and all kinds of misery. The atrocities that they want atrocities in each birth, more in life and even more in death. And that's the destination for man if they would have their way. Bring more in, bring more sheep to slaughter, bring the clever in for competition, bring them all for the pleasure of the chosen few. What did they say there? They said, stop restricting us. We want to bring every soul that we can get into this world. And we want especially the sweet little, like naive sheep that they don't know they're being had until it's too late. We want to bring them into slaughter, and we want to bring some clever ones in because it's competition. What fun is it if your God, you have no competition? No. We got to have people that are ready to walk up your back to get higher. That's what they want. And basically, they want the children to be brought in for the pleasure of the few chosen ones. There's no solid problem seeing the difference between the two destinations, is there? No? Well, let's look at what we've done in our now society and see if you can see the difference. And they say in brackets, again, we would choose just to point out what's happening now without judgment. Not that they don't have a judgment, but that's what they said. We would surely give our judgment later on each question. Out of brackets. Can anyone have a child now? Can any woman have a child now? Yes. Can a person who's on support, government support, have as many children as they want now? Yes. Are they rewarded to have more children? Yes. Is a person who's obviously incapable of giving anything but misery to a child allowed to have a child? Yes. Do we perpetuate the misery of those who are in horrible conditions by letting them have children? Yes. Do we support those levels of life with all our policies in both our society and our government? Do we support, do our society and the government support those? Answer to those questions above, yes. So why, they ask, are we so muddled in this area? What causes us to move in directions that are quite the opposite of where we want to go? Where we want to go. Are you telling me, they kind of stood up here and said it. If you're not interested in what it is that we're saying and the changes that we're interested in now, then what you're saying is you want a person who's on government support to have as many children as they want. Yes. You want to reward them for having more children. Yes. You want a person who's incapable of giving anything but misery to a child to have children. Yes. You want to perpetuate the misery of those who are in horrible condition by letting them have children. Yes. You understand what they're saying? You get down to it. You stand right there and tell me that you want that child to suffer. Now, there are people that would say yes, but it won't be you. So, you see, why are you muddled in that area? What causes us to move in directions that are quite the opposite of where we want to go? Who's at the center of the campaign to keep this question from becoming clear? In the clear pool of your decision to strive for the first desired destination is thrown the mud of abortion. What did they say? They said, here's a clear pool. We want the children to be healthy. We want them to reach their full potential. We want them to be mentally healthy and physically healthy and And with that desired destination, it's clear as a bell. But what happens? They throw the mud of abortion in. Next comes a shovel or two of birth control. Then comes the concept that sex is taboo and mustn't even be talked about. Shovel and shovel and shovels of mud here. Who is it that's throwing all this mud? Who's clouding your concept of where we need to go? Who's at the center of the campaign to keep these questions from becoming clear? And why? And they say, of course, sorry, Book 5.